The shadow. I had an affair. The circumstances of it make it all the worse of an action. I had been married 8 years, had 2 kids, started seeing another woman, then found out my wife was pregnant. Didn't end the affair. It continued the duration of the pregnancy. No bonding but quite emotional and kissing. Rationalized it by pointing to my wife's behavior. Controlling, manipulative, angry. She found out when the OH pulled up to the house. She was outside with our then 2-year-old son. The affair ended in earnest a few days before he came. Like she does with most things, she attacked the problem head on. We immediately went to marriage counseling after the baby was born.
Neither of us ever left the house.
She allowed me in the room for the birth. The day after the birth, we were lying in the hospital bed together. She asked if everything was going to be okay. I said I didn't know. This hurt her. She still brings it up 2.5 years later.
Lots of late-night talks.
More her yelling than talks. I had told her the O and I only kissed once. That was a lie. She pressed me on the issue. I relented and explained it had been multiple times. I was sitting with our new baby on my lap when this happened. She took him from my arms and told me I didn't deserve him. That I may have been the sperm donor but I was no father. She and the OH stayed in touch.
Well, he understandably was very angry with me.
He told my W things that weren't true. Said he had seen messages that talked about me and his wife sleeping together. My wife of course believed him, but he couldn't produce any proof because there was nothing. My wife yelled a lot. Occasionally got physical with me. Night after night. I withdrew emotionally. Counseling didn't help. Counselor suggested antidepressants for my wife. She refused. Said she wasn't the one who had done anything, so why should she be the one on meds? 2.5 years later, nothing has ever gotten better. I feel abused. I can point to many real events of abuse. I don't know how to reconcile them given the hurt I gave my wife. What she has said repeatedly that she needs to heal are kind words, to be taken on dates, and for me to be transparent. I have balked at some of the requests for transparency. She has always had full control of finances. I am the only one working. Checks are direct deposit. All receipts go into the computer. I might have a few dollars in my pocket at any given time that I spend on miscellany. She wanted to know where every penny went. I told her I didn't think it was reasonable to account for every single penny of cash. We are talking $85 for a soda, strike 34 of 1,000. She wanted me to track the mileage on my car. I felt controlled. I no longer went anywhere but work and home. She wrote down my mileage at some point and 10 days later checked it again and felt like I had gone 100 miles further than I should. I couldn't explain where that was driven. Strike 57. All the while every night is up until 2 a.m. listening to the same recording of how I, the devil, am who destroyed her, killed her husband, abandoned her and her children, never spent the night out of the house, but whatever. She's yelling and crying. I'm apologizing and being brushed off. Okay, she can do what she wants. I just don't understand the thinking. The first Christmas after, 8 months after, she throws our wedding portrait out the back window, 2nd story, in front of the kids. Starts telling them about the affair. All hell breaks loose. It already had, but they didn't know why. All this time, she had been breaking stuff, throwing stuff at me, yelling. Feb. I moved to a different bedroom at her insistence. She burns our marriage certificate in front of me and the kids. Later makes an art project out of it, framing a picture of the O she had printed off of FB. All this time, when she breaks down, she starts hitting herself. Starts talking that she wishes she was gone, qualifying that she would never do that. Has bruised herself repeatedly on the thighs and chest, even forehead from headbutting the floor. As recently as a month ago, slapped me full across the face. This past Labor Day, literally attacked me, left bruises, slapped the phone from my hand when I went to call 911. She is full out abusive now, has been for at least 2 of the last 2.5 years. We tried a second counselor. He said she had borderline personality, tried to refer her to another therapist for herself. She refused and stopped seeing him. 2 Labor Days ago, not the same as the one above, she attacked me, ripped up the house, scared the life out of the kids, chased me around spitting at me. I had kept going to the counselor, went back after that incident. He suggested a restraining order. I went to a lawyer. He sent me to the courthouse. I got the papers, started filling them out. Called her, explained what was going on. She broke down. I asked if she could promise she would stop being physical and stop screaming all the time and get help. I think she would have agreed to anything. She did agree. She has since reverted 100% back to where she was. And now she resents that I was willing to fill out the paperwork and call her to talk about it when she was sitting waiting to get the kids from school, sitting in her car near 100 other moms. There have literally been 1,000 things go bad in the last 2.5 years. She says, every day you don't choose me is another rejection. On one hand, I understand that. On the other, every day I tell her I love her. Every day, I do things specifically because I think they are what she would want. Every day. No, I do struggle with the kind words. She was, even before the affair, a very angry person in very big ways. Mean, very controlling. Part, if not a lot, of that was our relationship. She is obsessively clean. I am chronically messy. She is always going. I like to be still. She is super organized. I fly by the seat of my pants. But somehow before the affair, I always managed to make her feel loved. Now it seems that everything I do to be loving is either tied to the affair, for her, or not thoughtful enough. It is always more. She is 100% in control but 98% disengaged except to express her hurt and anger. I want to work it out. She doesn't want to share custody but each day elaborates on how she hates me. Yet in her more rational moments, I hear in her words that she wants me to fix it. A few keys there. She wants it to be fixed. She wants me to do it pretty much by myself. She is no longer open to counseling. Refuses it. 3.5 weeks ago, she woke me up. I had been sleeping on a mattress in the living room since Labor Day and said she couldn't do it anymore. She wanted me out. This was not the first request of this. She had asked repeatedly for me to leave. We are financially strapped. There is no way to pay the mortgage and pay for a place to stay. Further, she refuses to let me spend reasonable time with the kids if I am not in the house. So, I say if she can agree to a reasonable custody schedule, I will move out. Figure out the money somehow. She says, you can see them every other weekend, but even that is too generous if you ask me. I refuse that. Come home that night. She is in the same frame of mind. I hold firm. She packs up the kids and takes them to her parents with her for the night. The kids recognize who gets angry and who remains calm. They side with the person who gets angry so the anger doesn't get directed at them. They all went with her, all four, including her daughter from a previous marriage. Next morning, she comes back, asks me to reconsider moving out so the kids can have the house. I tell her everyone is welcome. I tell her if she will engage with me in working on the marriage, maybe we can work through the things that are still causing her pain. She says everything to do with me is now pain. I say if she wants to write down any kind of plan, like this is just temporary to try to improve the relationship so it doesn't appear I am abandoning my family, I would do it. She says no. Tells me if there is any hope for the relationship at all, I have to move out. So, I have been at her parents' now for 3.5 weeks, seen the kids very little, tried to talk many times. It always deteriorates into the same you hurt me, you suck, I don't think you are honest, you don't do anything to make it right, you aren't remorseful. I know I am at fault for the affair. I know I am not at fault for her abuse. I am remorseful for the affair. I frankly don't know how to engage her at all. I have to look to our past or her relationships with others to construct truly kind words. I am not asking anyone to tell me you need to let it go. So many people have said that already. What I want to know is, what can I do to right the relationship? I know it is possible it can't be fixed. I do not feel like best effort has been given yet, by me. What has kept me from best effort? The abusive behavior. She wants to hear kind things about her. Says I used to be kind all the time. The difference is she used to be at least civil. I know, the words are man up. It isn't a matter of being scared to be nice. It seems to me to be more an issue of, what kind things do I have to say? Like I said originally, to say kind words I have to speak in terms of the past or her relationships with other people. She has, and has had, access to all email, cell phone, phone records, and the cell phone itself. I haven't gotten cash myself in the last 2+ years. Not since that initial conversation about not being able to account for cash. I kept a travel log for a while. She didn't believe I went where I said I was going. So, GPS might be a good option. It just seems extreme to me. Maybe I can use Google Latitude. Good enough. Holograph seems extreme too, but whatever. I will look into it. And I have been going to counseling. Continued with the second that she quit until right after the near restraining order incident. She insisted I not see him anymore because he was giving bad advice. I don't know that his advice was bad in that regard, but whatever. I stopped. With a new counselor now. His suggestion, when I told him I was going to stay with the in-laws, was to give it a few days and then present her with 3 options. Marriage counseling, leading to R. Mediatory, possibly leading to divorce, or R. Lawyer up, divorce. She has refused counseling a couple times since then. She perceives mediation as a con to get her to agree to something a lawyer would not suggest she agree to. Obviously, I can do the lawyer on my own, but I have not been willing to do that while I am living out of the home. And frankly, I am scared of moving in any direction that creates permanence. I don't want to hurt her more by divorcing her. I am hazy on whether I am showing true remorse. Everything around how we interact right now makes it very hard for me to know what a healthy reaction is to being attacked versus me being combative. What is a healthy reaction to being hit and yelled at versus what I should be doing to make things right in the face of her anger. I had read a book about emotional blackmail. Feels like I am in the fog, fear, obligation, and guilt, having my strings pulled by my wife but never giving her the result she is looking for. She never hit me. All her anger was pushed out at her ex-husband or the kids. I don't know if she ever hit him. He had anger issues too, but as an example, the winter before the affair, her daughter was struggling with school. Wife was regularly, 4 to 5 nights a week, spending 5 to 8 hours on 5th grade homework with her daughter. A lot of the same behavior now aimed at me was directed to the daughter then, including some of the physical aspects. I didn't see much of it. I heard the yelling, which usually happened very late when they were both frustrated and I was putting the others to bed. But her ex called at one point and called out the physical things and verbal abuse the daughter was telling him W was doing. He was right in this, but he has done worse, frankly. So yes, she was like this before, but as with many behaviors, it got worse over time. In the beginning, she was wonderful in virtually every way that I could see. In her younger years, this stuff happened. Things I knew. Bio dad abandoned her mom. She is adopted by dad. Mother had a major breakdown when W was in high school. Her husband was threatening to leave because mother was OCD and other things. Mother effectively took my W, her daughter, captive with a knife and told adopted dad if he left, she would kill the daughter, my wife. Things I didn't know. She was ex twice in high school. She had an eating disorder, forced herself to throw up. Ex-husband possibly abused her, still not clear. She had an abortion of my child, but didn't tell me at the time. This one might be confusing. She and I dated for a long time in college. She broke it off after she graduated. Got married, had a kid, got divorced. Married me. The abortion was right when she broke it off at the end of college. All of that stuff, and she tells me this is worse than any of that, because none of the men who ex her ever told her they loved her, and I did. I was her knight in shining armor. I started saving her when we were in college, 20 years ago. I loved this woman very intensely. I never knew why she woke up with nightmares so regularly in the early days. I just knew I was there for her when they happened. I held her. I told her she was safe. She was. Many years. For several years the nightmares stopped. They stopped altogether. It was me. OMG. I helped her to heal from all that awful crap that other people did to her when she was young. Then I ripped all of the good away in one foul swoop. I am now both the best man she ever knew and the worst man she will ever know. In the nights when we have shared a bed since the affair, many of them she wakes up with nightmares, like she did when we were young. Except now, I am no comfort. I have been keeping a journal. I have pictures of the bruises. I have some of the things she has destroyed. I don't know how much any of that matters. She was always angry and struggling to control her anger. Now, thanks in large part to my affair, she is abusive. It felt good to be wanted. I hadn't felt wanted in several years. I don't mean physically. I mean it felt good to have someone care how my day was going, to think that I am good in some way. One bad decision led to many. The first bad decision was not taking my emptiness to my wife before I took it to another woman. Cowardly, really. I am fighting myself not to blame my wife in some way. I look at the first paragraph of this post and wonder if that is me shifting blame or me being honest about it. I think honest. I have lied to myself as much as anyone. Sometimes it is hard to spot the truth, even if I am the one speaking. I believe I do still love her. It is hard to tell in the middle of this mess. I have been the bad guy for so long I don't remember being the good guy. But I have always been one or the other in this relationship. I have been referred to several books, in particular Stop Walking on Eggshells and, okay, don't remember the exact title, Emotional Blackmail, I think. I have read the last, not the first. Suggestions welcome. Recovery seems impossible. The first counselor we saw together wanted to treat her depression. W refused, saying she was not the one who did anything. Why should she be the one treated? 3 counselors since have now said BPD. One based on 1 hour with me, who I never saw again because he would not see couples, and W didn't want me and I see with someone she couldn't talk to. Another based on MC with both of us. A third based on several hours with me. There is truth to the idea that I was minimizing right after D-Day. Gaslighting. During the affair, yes, I did. Since then, no. I get some problems can't be fixed, and laying in the bed one makes seems like a terrifically simple answer. Yep, he broke it. He has to live with the consequences. Simple truth. I am looking to understand the heavy lifting. Talk to me about what made recovery possible for you. If you recovered, tell me how you felt loved and chosen by your BS after the affair. I have had a bad night. Holidays have been decent. I had been home with wife and kids for the last 3 weeks. A friend of mine passed Christmas Eve. He was under 40. One of my other friends called to share the news and the arrangements. Everything was 300 miles away from me. Being the bad guy, I told him I wasn't sure I would be coming, but I would get back to him. Talked it over with the wife. She was quite certain I needed to go. Pushed even. So, I asked her to go. She said she couldn't. Too much going on with the kids. Okay, I went. Visitation Sunday. Funeral today. Stayed with friend and family. At wife's request, he agreed to vouch for me. He knows my situation. I used the words I had an affair just to give you the flavor of the conversation. I texted when halfway there. Called when I arrived. Called a couple hours after the visitation from the deceased parents' house. Texted plans for the evening. Texted when leaving. Texted when we arrived back at my friend's house. Took a photo to prove what house I was in. By this point, I understood quite well that I had done something that didn't sit well with her. Just didn't get what it was. Emailed when I woke up. Emailed between funeral and grave site. Texted when leaving the cemetery. Called when I got on the highway. Maybe I am just typing now so someone can call me a moron. I know in hindsight she wanted me to call her from my phone and hand it to the friend so he could prove in the moment that I was where I said I was. I didn't get it until it was too late. Am I a moron? Drove home after the burial, went to the house, relieved my in-laws who were watching the kids and waited. Wife came home, promptly escalated to extreme yelling, her yelling. Not me. She threw my clothes out the basement door and demanded I leave, go back to in-laws. At one point in the evening, she was in my face yelling, hit me. I didn't, never have, can't say the same of her toward me. But now, once again, I have left the home of my children and am staying the night with my in-laws. She now repeatedly refuses bought MC and IC, always refused IC, went to MC until it was clear she had issues to work on. She refuses to file for divorce. She refuses mediation. She now refuses to let me spend time with the kids, even when it is helpful to her. Someone has surely been in her shoes. What is it she really wants? A happy marriage, my servitude, to punish me until I chose to divorce her, for me to disappear. I know the last one is probably her fantasy, but it isn't going to happen. Stinks. I don't like the notion that it is okay to give up on people because they have problems or make mistakes. There are good things about this woman much as there are good things about me, even though I cheated on the same woman. She has done something strange in that she says she has given up but then doesn't actually terminate the contract. She does just enough to keep me thinking there is hope and just enough to keep me trying, even though she tells me she hasn't seen me try yet. I am an educated person. I am immature enough and immoral enough to have an affair, but otherwise I think I have a good sense of judgment, fairness, right, wrong, compassion, and justice. Conversely, she is an educated woman who claims maturity and morality as strong suits but then withholds children, thinks in black and white, throws tantrums, hurts herself, hurts me, hurts the kids, and blames it on my affair in many forms. I don't want to give up on her. I just want a path. What is the right thing to do? Divorce her. What do I do about custody? Get as much as I can to protect the children and give them as much normal as possible. I am feeling sad tonight, trying to figure out how to re-engage. Every conversation seems to end with W insulting me or hanging up. She cleaned up the basement today with the kids. I am still not in the house. She had thrown my clothes out in the snow New Year's Eve. When I came to pick up essential toiletries on New Year's Day, I spread the wet clothes out so they could dry in the basement. I called to talk to the kids today. 5-year-old was done talking and asked W if she wanted to talk to me. I did not request this. I was cordial, created conversation. She said it was rude of me to leave my clothes all spread out like that. I said they were wet from the snow. She said I should have dealt with them. I asked her what was different between what I did and she thought I should do. She hung up the phone. She still wants me to show her I love her, but she is not even tolerant of sane basic conversation on my part.
I am feeling hopeless.
It is hard for me because she is winning the battle with the kids. She is alienating me to them. It is all very apparent in the 5-year-old. She is in the house. She is refusing to let me spend time with them. If I go to the house, she rolls into a temper tantrum. The 5-year-old now participates in the tantrum, telling me I am mean to his mom. I am being quiet and trying to have a logical, calm conversation. She is screaming, crying, cursing, and slamming stuff around. How does that work? I recorded it the other night. I have listened to it a few times. She sounds insane. The kids walk around like it is normal. How do I do the best for my kids? I am trying to see past everything she has done, everything I have done, and move forward. She has asked consistently over the last few years for kind words, to be chosen, dates. All of the crazy that has happened over the last few years has left me failing to do those things with consistency. So, I ask you people, given those needs, those requests, what creative, romantic things you would do to go above and beyond the expectations of your significant other in those areas. She knows she has a fear of abandonment. She knows she has low self-esteem. She knows she has a temper. Any discussion of the possibility of her being abusive is flipped on me and escalates into a screaming rage event, if not a physical event of some type. For example, if I say you are yelling and cursing in front of the kids, you are spitting at me, breaking things, hitting me and hitting yourself. That needs to stop. She says, you did this. You had a girlfriend. This is not on me. I say my affair is not on you. You are right. That is all my responsibility. I am sorry. Your behavior is within your control, not mine. Screaming, cursing, spitting, breaking, hitting are not behaviors I want our kids to witness or replicate. I hope you feel that way too. She will say I want them to know they should not lay down and accept being betrayed like this. I say I agree. What I did was wrong. You would be within the realm of reasonable to divorce me over it, if you felt we could not reconcile. What you are doing by screaming, cursing, spitting, breaking, and hitting is abusive. It isn't showing them how to handle an affair. She says what you do is abusive. You perpetually stick my face in your pile of crap that you refuse to clean up. That is abusive. Then she starts pulling her hair out and hitting herself in the chest. An example from today of me sticking her face in it. I texted her my schedule this morning. I added I think you rock. An hour later she replied, made a smile flicker across my face. This is the first kind reply she has had for me in I don't know how long. I have said you rock and many other kind, complimentary things in text, email, person, phone. 99 out of 100 times, the response is I don't believe it, not that plainly stated at all. So, I was surprised. I replied I did. I hope I did. 10 minutes pass. No response. She has a texting buddy. She has a friend who is a man. She claims the moral high ground and regardless of whether anything has or hasn't happened. They text back and forth all day and deep into the night. I started to think perhaps that text was misdirected. That has happened before. I replied again. Was it a wrong number? She replied, no, I'm glad it was the right number. That makes me smile too. You do rock. And I can say that makes me smile a lot. Her, well, you had a good thing going till you pissed me off with the question that throws the black hat back on me. Whenever I try to muster up something positive out of this pile of crap you have thrown me into, you simply push me in deeper. I didn't think it was funny. It was offensive. You are the cheater, not me. I am glad it was the right number. I do appreciate the effort on your part. I was pleasantly surprised and then yes, worried. Her, maybe if you actually focus the guilt to his rightful owner, you wouldn't be such a jerk. This is the very root of the problem. I keep on having to suffer the consequences of what you did and do. What do I do with that? She believes she has kept her affair PG. I haven't questioned her actions. She has told me he propositioned her at least once some time ago. She now deletes texts between them. Probably 20 messages per day on average. It did occur to me that she possibly did reply to the wrong text with her smile message and she was covering by getting angry. That is close enough to something I would have done in the middle of my affair. It has also occurred to me that she may want to stay angry because she doesn't want to lose the closeness she feels with him, and it is how she keeps her conscience clear. And, well, in this scenario, anytime I get suspicious, she can just flip out and I drop the scent. The OM in this case is a lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer. He defends death row convicts. He's married, has kids. I know his wife. I do wonder if calling out the emotional affair she is having might affect her thinking and actions. I know it won't make her suddenly kind, but maybe it will open her eyes to the possibility that what she is doing is not based on the best interest of the marriage or the kids. For the benefit of those worried about my kids, I have set boundaries and will not allow any further inappropriate conversation or other behavior in front of them. I simply walk away and, if necessary, leave the location. Late last night, all kids asleep, I brought up the texting to her. Not as though I thought she was having an affair, but in the context of, no matter the content, you seem to be texting with him all the time. I think that has to be negatively impacting our relationship. She didn't like this and was offended. How dare I suggest she is doing the same behavior she is so angry with me about? That's the gist. So, effectively, she refused to discuss any possibility that there was an issue, and it all turned into the standard rant. I guess my question is this. If she weren't BPD, how would a normal person, not overcommitted to the relationship with her text, respond? Okay, now throw in that I did have an affair. What then? I have been to the house for the past 9 days straight. At least, last weekend was bad. This week has been a bit better, and the past 2 nights have been okay. I am so confused about what she wants. Tonight, it wasn't a rant, though if I had stayed longer it would have gotten there because I cannot make sense of what she is saying. I treat her as my wife and as someone I care about and am attracted to. She tells me the elevator can't magically go from the lobby to the 26th floor without passing all the other floors, an escalating scale of affectionate behavior. The 26th floor is apparently me coming up behind her and hugging her. Yet, she is annoyed at what she describes as small talk. You have nothing to talk about except small talk. Small talk today was our children, their relationships with peers, parents, step-parents, finances, events she runs, issues with the house, and more about kids with some attempts to talk about anything that is important to her. All of it, small talk, and not worthy attempts at engaging her. For me, those are maybe floors 2 to 5 to say the least. And there has been a lot more to my efforts. Small kindnesses, kind words, tenderness. I am frustrated and feeling like it is an unsolvable situation. If I am not working my butt off to show her I choose her, then she feels I am degrading, rejecting, and pushing her down into her pit of despair. If I am working my tail off, then I am taking a rocket to the top of the building, and that does not work for her either. On one hand, it would be really easy to just say I am the cold-hearted moron who can't show his wife that he is sorry for having an affair, nor can he show her she is the woman he wants to be with. But frankly, I don't think I am that moron. I may be a moron, but I don't think I am that moron. To update the story, I have been back in the house with my wife and kids since mid-February. I think that is right. I am not sure what to believe entirely, but she tells me her parents wanted me out. Which, okay, I would want me out too. So, out of the generosity of her heart, she let me come back into the house. I am thankful for that. I truly am. At the same time, I will never leave my home where my kids live like that again. She can ask and demand all she wants. I love her. To me, that is now a boundary that will not be crossed by me. I am still mostly not sleeping in my own bed, except when she wants to be touched, and then sometimes being asked to sleep elsewhere after. That happens for a few days every 6 weeks or so, followed by a major blow-up. My clothes are still in the basement. I am still reporting my expected whereabouts daily, calling or texting when I leave someplace to go someplace else. I slip up on that occasionally. I may take the kids and run an errand without mentioning it to her. If she finds out, that is not good. So, I am trying to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. She still isn't getting what she wants. I am finding it harder to come up with kind words. I am somewhat resentful of bonding because I know after a few times, she will be satisfied and then blow up in a big way. And furthermore, tell me the only time I am remotely nice is when I have access to her body. I tell her she is misinterpreting the signals. I am affectionate when she will accept it. She seems to only accept it or indicate she would accept it when she wants bonding. Most other times she pushes me away or says nothing as though it didn't happen. There have been a handful of blow-ups in the last 6 months. I could chart it. I don't. My actions don't seem to impact the cycle very much, but I may be misinterpreting that. This morning was difficult for me. It was back to screaming names, insults, and threats at me in front of the 5-year-old. She hit me last time she blew up. Today she added something different. Instead of hitting, she just did this aggressive posturing and exaggerated hand movements. In my face, like someone trying to pick a fight. To intimidate. She made me think she was going to hit me a few times. Tells me she hates me. Tells me to leave. Says I am lifeless. She needs passion. I tell her I am shell-shocked, that all the yelling puts me in shock and I can't even think. The demands are the same, but I seem incapable of meeting them. Kind words, to feel chosen, affection, and now passion. I don't know how to do it. I want to do it. I want her to feel loved. I want her to know I am sorry. My apologies sound less remorseful in the middle of her yelling. I resent the treatment. I don't know if I should or not. I see how I have responsibility. I just think she is responsible for her own behavior, and her behavior is what I resent. It is all quite confusing for me. My comment, Part 2 ending, will come out in a few hours. Do you think they are meant for each other, or OP does not deserve this after his initial actions? Sub and I will see you in the Part 2 ending.